Hey, so a little bit later this morning, I had something to do after I worked out, but I talked yesterday about um, misery loves company, and I said I would expound on that a little bit. First of all, I want to say the sun is out and Bob is awesome. So when I was in Iraq, we used to complain about Bob, big orange ball, but today I'm very thankful for it, even though it's cold. And it's supposed to be super windy later, but when the sun's out, everything is better. And especially out here in nature, there's so much to see. Anyway, let's get to the story. First of all, I want to thank a very good friend of mine. I get about 30 to 40 private messages a day from people that I haven't talked to in years, or I don't even. I'm Facebook friends with them, but we don't have a close personal relationship. And it's funny because everybody's like, I really appreciate your passion. There's been some people that have been a little bit negative. Good morning, Kim. A little bit, and who else said good morning? It just popped up. Misty. But I've gotten a little bit of negative feedback saying I shouldn't be. Why am I doing this? Why would I put myself out there like this? It's because this is who I am. I'm a very passionate person. If I believe in something, I go for it. And I think that's what made me good in the military. It made me good on the fire department. It makes me it that's who I am. So I'll start with that. And these videos are probably not going to stop unless someone stops me because they're healthy for me. This is my coping mechanism for different things that I'm going through, and I wish I would have been doing it a long time ago. I hope people do unfollow me and unfriend me and go their own direction if it is um, not their thing, because that's okay. But let's talk about misery loves company. And sorry, I keep looking down because I don't want to step. These trestles are a little bit wide. Um, but misery loves company. I asked someone that was we had to go to Columbus yesterday, so I was in the car for about 5 hours with a good friend, and I asked her what she thought misery loves company meant, and it's the typical misery loves company ideology that a lot of people consider, and that is, if I'm miserable, I want to make someone else miserable, and that is not at all how I view misery loves company. The way I view misery loves company has a completely different connotation. And that connotation is, I don't want to drag anybody down to my level if I'm low. But when you look around to your left and to your right, if someone is going through something with you, it makes it tolerable and it makes the severity a lot different. And sometimes you can laugh. So I have two stories. And actually, both of them have the same guy in it. And his name, he's on here somewhere, but he goes by a different name on here. His real name is Seth Haynes, and I'm going to throw him right out and under the bus. So we called him Skivvies because we're so creative. His last name was Haynes. How can you not call him Skivvies? But Skivvies was probably the most laid back, tolerant person I've ever met in my entire life. I saw him get slapped by another friend of ours who used to beat us up every time he drank, Don Moore. We used to make Don Moore mad at like the biggest guy at the bar when he was sober. That way, when he got drunk, he would beat that dude up and not one of us because he broke my nose twice. Anyway, back to Skivvies. Skivvies was the opposite. Hey, Angel. Skivvies was the opposite of Don. Skivvies was his parents were hippies. That's how he described them. And Seth was maybe the biggest hippie I ever met in the Marine Corps. I didn't even know you could be a hippie and be in the Marine Corps, but he was. Um, but a phenomenal reconnaissance Marine, great guy. And so there was certain periods of time in the Marine Corps, and this is what we call embrace the suck, that couldn't have been more miserable. But they're the best stories. It's like no good story starts out like I was eating a salad. You're talking, it's like it's vanilla. And so um, my best stories and best times in the Marine Corps were actually horrible times, but they were spent with the best people. So I'm going to get into the first story, and that was we were gearing up. We thought we were going to be going back into Iraq, and this is in the mid '90s. And so we were doing what's called special operations capable training. And to go on a Marine Expeditionary Unit and have that special operations capability tag, you had to go through 14 very specific interactions or missions. You had to pass these missions. And so we were doing something called true training, and it's really, really unique. It's tactical reconnaissance in an urban environment. and we did ours in San Francisco, California. The FBI coordinated it for us. I got to pretend like a homeless guy to get some reconnaissance. So the way this works is you've got a direct action team, and they're going to go rescue hostages. And again, I don't want to get too much into specifics there. I think there's still a lot of this stuff could be classified a certain way. I've been out of the game for so long, I don't know. But without getting into too detailed stuff, I wasn't a direct action reconnaissance Marine. Those are the door kickers. Those are the guys that are going in there and shooting them up. I was a green reconnaissance Marine, which means basically we go in ahead of those guys and we try to paint the picture for what they're going to face when they get on the ground. And this is before cell phones and tablets and any good technology. We were doing dot matrices. We were sending Morse code. And what you're doing is a green reconnaissance. We'd have 6, 7, 8 teams out that were reconnaissance teams and snipers that had other follow-on missions when the hit happened. But basically, you're out for 3 or 4 days gathering intelligence and trying to paint a picture, because the direct action guys weren't going to be on the ground. They were never going to see the target until they were hitting the target. So it was very important to pick up all that key intelligence, trying to reconnect, there we go, and send it back to higher headquarters. And those intelligence guys would decipher that information that we sent and make sure that the direct action guys had the best picture that they could. So remember, this is training. So you had we call it Op 4, but it's opposing forces, which are other Marines, and they kind of want to catch you up. They want to make sure that you're doing shit wrong, or not make it sure, but if you're doing shit wrong, they want to catch it. And then if you miss some intelligence, if you don't report back, they know exactly what you missed. They put it out there for you. They're out there putting out intelligence that you should be grabbing, viewing, and sketching and sending back this information. So your direct action guys, they're safer, and they have a higher probability of a successful mission, especially in like a hostage recovery and things of that nature. So anyway, this tactical reconnaissance was really cool in a lot of ways. One time we got to stay in a hotel room. That's pretty badass for a Marine. But there was a very specific part of this mission, and the direct action team was actually going to shoot up City Hall with their bullet traps, and it was going to be really neat. We're doing a live breach in downtown San Francisco with C4. Snipers were taking actual shots, and it was just really badass. But sometimes the green reconnaissance really blows. And this time we were put in a Chevy Astrovan, and it was like a 1993 Chevy Astrovan. If you guys remember, they're pretty small. And the special operations training group that we were under had really did a good job of teaching us how to be clandestine. It's a lot of work. You do some stuff with some other government agencies, really neat stuff. So we had blacked out these Chevy Astrovans to where you couldn't tell that there was anybody in them, but we could see everything out, and it was a really neat situation until we had to get eyes on the target. So we were about 350, 400 meters from the target. The op forces didn't know exactly where we were or what we were driving or anything like that, but they were looking for us. So we had to be very, very careful and clandestine. So I got 5 guys. I was the team leader, and I have 5 guys in this Chevy Astrovan for almost 3 days. Now, we couldn't start the van. We're on the rooftop of a parking garage, eyes on target, 5 men eating MREs and drinking Gatorades inside this van for just a little under 72 hours. So you can imagine they don't have enough Gatorade bottles for what you have to put out in that much time between 5 guys. We'll just leave it at that. And the stench from 5 guys. Oh, Angel wants to be in my video. I'll let Angel be. So those 5 guys were pretty miserable. And Seth Haynes, Skivvies, was one of those guys. And we had Dave Wilde with us. And Dave Wilde's about 6'3". Back then he was probably about 235 pounds, and it was just pure muscle. And the dude really believed in eating a lot of protein, which is not conducive to a van operation with 4 other men for 72 hours. What's up, Angel? Another dumb Marine. So, hey, I'm going to kick you out of here, bud. Anyway, I just remember how miserable that operation was. And someone had to do something other than relieve their urine. And that might have been the lowest point of my life, being stuck in the back of a Chevy Astro van with 4 other men. And I won't say who had to do it. It wasn't me. But that might be the lowest of the low, to witness that. And when I say witness that, you can't help but be a witness to that when you're in those kind of quarters. So all I remember was Seth laid his head back against the side of the Astro van, and he said, "Dude, this is so fucking not cool." And at that moment, I realized that it was actually really cool, because as miserable as I was with 4 other idiots that were just as miserable as me, and we had just as bad of a time together. And now I've gotten together with those guys a few times, or we've talked online or whatever, and those stories kind of creep up. So it's, to me, that's the misery loves company, is you're with other people that are sharing your experience and making it an easier pill to swallow. And Angel can talk about this. Angel's a former Marine, a grunt, and Angel's a Cleveland fireman. Angel just finished his first Ironman, so he's a pretty much a badass. And he did a lot of this stuff, and we you know, some of the stuff on the fire department. It's we used to work on Rescue Squad 3 over on East 73rd and Superior, and we'd have 14 to 20 runs a day sometimes, and you'd be exhausted at 5 o'clock in the morning. And if I was by myself doing that and didn't have that shared brotherhood of other idiots that were miserable and tired and annoyed, I don't know that it would have been as easy or fun or tolerable. So that's my misery loves company. So when you look at that, look around at the other people. SERE school, I got through SERE school because there were other people that were just as miserable as me. I also, there's another facet to this, and this is what my drill instructor told me when I was 17 years old and in boot camp. You know, everybody struggles for that first week, I think, and has a little bit of a difficult time. And so what happened was, my drill instructor told me, he goes, if you want to win at being a Marine, you have to never be the most miserable son of a bitch in the room. You have to find somebody else who's more miserable. And then he laughed and he says, and if you can't find it, make someone more miserable, but never be the most miserable son of a bitch in the room, because you're all going through it together. And I looked around, and like I said, we started with 67 guys in my boot camp platoon. We had some guys leave that got hurt or failed certain things, and we had guys that got recycled into us, and I think we ended up graduating about 58 or 50, I don't know, 59, something like that. But what I realized was, every time it was miserable, I looked around and I saw the faces of the other guys, and they were all just as miserable as me, and sometimes it was someone that was more miserable than me. And I never wanted to bring them down to my level, but they were already there, and they were sharing in the pain and the torture and the bullshit. So that's my take on misery loves company. It doesn't have anything to do with bringing other people down to your level. So if you can look at things that way, I think it's more helpful. Now, I brought Angel on here because I thought he was going to offer something, but it looks like he's stretching. Angel, you running today?
No, I was just listening at first to what you had to say, but it's so true what you say, that I like you said, I remember countless nights that we were 1 or 2 fires, 20 runs. We're all exhausted. We're all tired. It's been like this for a straight month. And at times, I remember that we would pick on each other because we were so miserable, that sometimes we'll just start poking at each other. And then we realize, come to the conclusion that in reality, we all felt the same way. It's so true. And then I remember a clear day that one day we showed up to work. Everybody was excited but tired at the same time. And then somehow, as miserable as we were because we did something that day, I forgot what it was clearly. I know we had to do some training.
Those were the Mount, what was the hospital training? Oh right. My God, that
just misery. Like, and then you're hungry, you're tired, you know, because you eat on a run, you eat in a truck while I'm eating a burger while driving. You guys are in the back wolfing down some, because we don't know we're going to make it back to the firehouse because it was just busy at that time. But I remember one day that we all came back and we ended up just all laying on a recliner and actually sharing blankets and just watching TV together, you know, and it was just a quiet moment. And that's when you realize that, I realized deep down that yeah, we may be all miserable, but we're all going through the same damn thing, you know. And it's clear what you just said. You're bringing up a lot of. I can't bring out the stories clearly, but you're bringing up a lot of memories, you know. Like you're saying, you're sitting in the woods somewhere, and I remember this in Camp Lejeune one time. I just hated the Marine Corps at that time. It was raining, it was cold, it was bitter, but then the guy named Lance Corporal Rojas, he put his back against my back, and we just put a poncho over our heads, and we just started saying jokes, you know, or saying stupid stories. And I realized that, man, I thought I was the only, I thought I was a pussy, in other words. Sorry for saying that word, but I realized that no, we are just all miserable, and then we just made the situation better, you know. So you're bringing up some good points, man. That's awesome, bro.
Yep. And so I take it back to the Marine Corps days or the fire department days, but you don't have to have been a Marine or fireman to have these exact same experiences. There's people that have gone through divorces that are just nasty. Go find those people. They're your friends. They're your help. I'm getting about 25.
I'm one of those guys.
I'm getting about 25 to 30 private messages a day saying thank you for these videos. So, or sharing their story, and it's been pretty amazing to me. So those are the people that help you. They're my company in misery, in their own way. So that's the point. Is you're not alone. You're not doing it alone. There's never been I don't think there's any human. At this point in history, there's not a human interaction that can happen that hasn't previously happened to somebody else. So go find that somebody else, go be miserable with that fucker for a little while, and then put a poncho over your head, tell jokes to each other, and suck it up, Buttercup. Right, Angel?
Can I say one more thing? One thing
you always do.
I know, but I'm going to interview. When I went through my divorce, somebody came up to me and he says, remember, no matter how bad your situation is, no matter how bad you think you hit rock bottom, somebody's going through a worse moment than you are.
Yeah.
So just remember that. And that's a point that he brought up to me. Just when you think this is the worst of the worst, I'm like, I can't get any worse. I always remember, man, there's somebody who's got it worse than me. So maybe this is not too bad to get through. You know, it's going to be a struggle, but it's not going to be as bad as you think it is. There's always a light at the end of a tunnel. Just remember that. That's one point I always said to many people who are going through down in their lives. Trust me, there's always a light, but that tunnel could be 100 feet long and 5 miles long. So.
Angel, we're gonna have to get off here because one of the 1981 guys that started to watch, and you know how those guys are, man. Yeah. It's an ACO. So
the ones that got theirs.
They got theirs, yours, ours, and mine.
Ours, theirs. Yeah. The guy that drove B shift got driven around in B shift. We're not going to mention names.
Nope. So, all right, Chief. Hey, I saw you looking, and I saw you get off of there. So, see you. But Angel, I'm done. You guys have a great day. That's my misery loves company. See you.
Hey.